All right, welcome to the first domain of differential equations. So this first domain in differential equations is all about dealing with slopes and slope fields. That's domain 1. So slope fields and slopes. I love slope fields primarily because they're sort of like they're kind of comforting to me. They don't take a huge amount of time to do. You really just have to relax yourself and plug in points into the differential equation, graph a couple slopes, and then be on your way. So I like to say jump for joy if you see a slope field because you know that it's basically free points for you at that point, as long as you're careful about things. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at A here. So we have the differential equation, dy dx. Remember that differential equations, dy dx, tell us the slope at a certain point. So this is saying that the slope is equal to 2x minus y. And then what we want to do here is just plug in these points into my differential equation and make the slope field. So let's do that. I'm just going to be detailed about this for the first few, and then you can go ahead and do in the next few yourself too. So at 1, 1, our slope would be, that'd be 2 times 1 minus 1. That would end up being a slope of 1. So I'm going to put a slope of 1 right there. At 0, 1, we would have 2 times 0 minus 1, which would be negative 1. I'm going to put a slope of negative 1 right there. At 1, 2, we would have a slope of 2 times 1 minus 2, which is 0. You want to make sure you get the 0 slopes right, because that's one of the things they will specifically look for. And then at the point 0, 2, 2 times 0 minus 2, which is negative 2. So I'm going to make a slightly steeper slope right there. And then for the other points, 1, negative 1. So 2 times 1 minus negative 1, that would be 3. So a pretty steep slope there. And then at 0, negative 1, 2 times 0 minus negative 1 equals 1. So we'll make a slope of 1 at that point. And there we go. There's our slope field. What you want to make sure you do when you make these slope fields is you want to make sure that you keep an eye out for 0 slopes, and that you also keep an eye out for undefined slopes. Remember that 0 slopes are any slopes where you have a 0 on the top and a number on the bottom. And undefined slopes are any slopes where you have a number on top and 0 on the bottom. Okay, give these a shot. And if you want to have more practice, hold on, and there's another one right after this. All right, so this second slope field is a little bit more complicated. We've got our differential equation up here. It says the slope is y squared over x minus 1. Okay, we've got 6 points to plug in and make the slope field, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to start out with the point 2, 0. If I plug 2, 0 in, I'm going to have 0 over 2 minus 1, and that's going to end up being 0. So I'm going to make a 0 slope right there. Next, at the point 0, 0, 0 over 0 minus 1, which is 0 again. At the point 2, 1, I would have, let's see, 1 squared, which is 1, over 2 minus 1, which is 1. So slope of 1 at that point. And then at the point 0, 1, I've got 1 over 0 minus 1, which gives us a negative 1 slope. And then at the point 2, 2, we've got 4 over 2 minus 1, which would be a slope of 4. So I'm just going to make this pretty steep. And then at the last point here, 0, 2, we've got the same thing going on. So we would have a slope of 4 over 0 minus 1. Excuse me, a little bit of slowness right there. And we will end up with -4 as our slope. So there we go. There's our slope field. Again, notice that they didn't give you any of these points in here. So in this problem, they're not looking for you to put down any undefined slopes. If they had given you those 2 points right there, you would do the same thing. You'd plug them in. You would get, in the case of 1, 1, for example, you'd get 1 over 0. And that would be an undefined slope, which you would draw like that. Similarly, for 1, 2, you would get another undefined slope like that. However, many times they'll have you avoid doing that, but I do want you to know what undefined slopes look like. They look vertical, just so you can be aware of that. You might also be asked a question to find where an undefined slope would be from a differential equation like this. And for example, you can see just from this differential equation that if you wanted to make the slope undefined, or in other words, put 0 on the bottom, put 0 in the denominator, that would happen when x is equal to 1. And as you can see, all these points here where the x coordinate is equal to 1 make our slope undefined. Okay, that's that. Go ahead and practice some slope fields. Just hammer them out. Have fun.